So those of us who aren't teaching, make sure we mute ourselves. That's you, Mel, and me.
Thumbs up, you're all ready? Okay, welcome. Let's just find a comfortable seated position, maybe closing the eyes or a soft gaze, just to land on your mats or in the space you're at the moment. Taking a deep breath, lengthening your spine. On the exhale, just let it all out. Let that COVID crumbs out, that stress out. Another deep inhale. Maybe just to bring some balance to our hemispheres, we'll start with Nadi Shodhana Pranayama practice. What we're going to do is bring in our index finger and the middle finger to our forehead. And with the thumb and the ring finger, we're going to put slight pressure on the nostrils, alternating them. So we will start with our thumb on the right nostril, closing it very gently, and start inhaling from the left. So to start with, let's release your current breath. And I'll count to 7 on the inhale through the left. So inhale through the left, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And exhale through the right, closing the left nostril, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In through the right, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And out through the left, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Continue on your own rhythm. That was 1 round. We'll do 3 more. Nadi Shodhana is our alternate nostril breathing, helping balance our yin, our yang, our masculine, our feminine, our moon, the sun. Keeping your straight back, maybe visualizing the air coming in one of the nostrils, doing a bit of a loop in your third eye and then coming out in the other nostril. When you finish your third round, just place your hands on your knees, palms facing down, and keep your eyes closed, or a soft gaze if that's more comfortable. Breathing in and out deeply. Bringing your awareness to your mats, to your here and now. As much as you can. If your nostrils are still closed, maybe bring in your Jai breath, the slight constriction on the throat, our beautiful oceanic sound. And then listening within, bringing your sankalpa, your intention out. What would that be today? Maybe to follow the week, the month, or throughout the year. Maybe it's strength. Maybe you would like to dedicate this practice to someone that is in need. Maybe it's about your clarity of mind, about compassion to yourself or others. Whatever it's coming from within, keeping that intention and that awareness throughout the practice. Take a deep breath in, and we'll meet in child's pose whenever you're ready. Hands are spread to the front of the mat. Your hips are heavy, falling to your heels. In our beautiful child's pose, release your head, forehead to the mat. Feel that extension on the sides of your body. Remembering that our child's pose is a beautiful recovery pose. If you ever feel like coming back to it through the practice to recover from your breath, to bring back the awareness to your practice if thoughts are too much. And then slowly coming up to tabletop position. Knees spread hip width apart, maybe measuring with 2 fists. Shoulders over wrists. Shins are pressuring down, so shins are active, toes are active. Hasta Bandha is active as well, pushing from your hands towards the floor, spreading your fingers out, and we'll go through some rounds of cat-cow. So inhale, bringing your chest towards the sky, gaze towards the sky, and belly towards the floor. And exhale, round your spine, bringing your chin to your chest, pushing through your shins and hands. Trying to lift yourself from the floor. Inhale, all the way up. Feeling that beautiful stretch in your spine. How the vertebrae are making some room. Exhale, round. Do 2 more rounds of your own rhythm. You finish your second round, inhale and come to neutral position. We'll lift our left arm in front of us, thumbs facing the sky. And once we find the balance, we'll lift our right leg. Flex your toes, engage in the core, engage in your thighs. And exhale, run your back and bring the elbow to knees. And inhale, coming up again. Exhale, run the back, elbow to knee. Inhale, coming up again. Exhale, round in your back. Inhaling once more, and exhale, come to tabletop position. Maybe move your wrists a little bit if this is too much or you haven't been practicing for a while. We'll go on the other side, so lifting the right arm up, thumbs facing the sky. Once you find a balance, lift your left leg, tuck the little toes, feet are flexed. And exhale, round and bring elbow to knees. Inhale up. Exhale, elbow to knees. Inhale up. Exhale, elbow to knees. Inhale up. And exhale, coming to your tabletop position. Leaving your left hand on the center of the mat, we're going to inhale and lift our right arm towards the sky on a gentle twist. Gaze up or to the front, if up it's too much for your neck. Exhale, coming back to center. Leaving your right hand on the center of the mat. Bring your left hand up to the sky. Inhaling, finding length and exhaling, twisting a little bit more. And exhale, coming back to your mat. Sitting on your knees. So buttocks to heels. I'm going to go through a few rounds of neck and shoulder stretch. So inhale, find your lengthen. And exhale, bring your chin to chest. Inhale, start circling your neck gently towards the right, all the way back towards the left, and exhale to center. Inhale, bringing your neck to the right, all the way to the left, and exhale back to center. Let's do one more, and then we'll change sides. Changing sides, so inhale, bring your neck to the left, all the way back to the right, and exhale back to center. Inhale once more. Down, exhale. Last one. Inhale, lengthen your spine, look up. Go into the shoulder rots. So inhale, bring your shoulders up, 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 up. And exhale, let it go as if you have no cares in the world. Inhale, up, 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 up. Exhale, let it go. Let's do it once more. Inhale, up, 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 up. And exhale, let it go. Come into seated position. With legs crossed. Bringing your both hands to your knees. We're going to do some Kundalini circles. So inhale, we'll round and bring the weight towards the front, and exhale, coming down to the back. Inhale to the front, exhale to the back of the mat. Inhale, round circles. Activating your Kundalini energy. Giving a nice massage to your back body. Moving your elbows and your shoulders at the same time. Activating them. Letting the prana, the energy flow through your arms and back of the spine. Now we'll inhale to center. Bring the right arm up and the left arm to the back of your mat. We're going to twist, so bring the right hand to the left knee. Inhale, find lengthen, and exhale, twist. Inhale, come back to center. Bringing the right hand behind you, left arm up first, and then left arm to right knee. Inhale to thumb lengthen, exhale to twist. Inhale, both thumbs come all the way to the sky. And exhale, gently folding forwards. Bring your hands, walking your hands forward. It doesn't need to be far. We're warming up. Just waking up our muscles, our tendons, our fascia. Inhale, coming up. We'll find ourselves in the tabletop position again. Knees hip width apart, shoulders stack over wrists. Tuck your toes under, press from your hands and bring to your first downward facing dog, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Maybe paddling the feet. Just waking up the hips. On your next inhale, look up between the arms and gently step, baby steps to the front of the mat. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Bend your knees, bring the belly to your thighs. And if it's within your practice, maybe bringing the fingers parallel to your toes. Or maybe grabbing your elbows and swinging side to side. Just let yourself feel heavy. Release any tension on the neck, on the jaw. Inhale, vertebra by vertebra, very gently and slowly, coming all the way up. Swing your arms towards the sky. And exhale, bring your hands to hand center. Mountain pose, Tadasana. Checking your alignment with your feet. Your toes are touching, your heels are slightly apart, unless you're modifying for knees or hips injury, in which case you bring your legs hip width apart. We're going to go through a few Surya Namaskar A. Closing your eyes, maybe, soft gaze. Pada Bandha, so really feeling the grounding through your feet. And inhale, bring your arms all the way to the sky. And exhale, and bow forwards, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant both hands on the mat and step back to your high plank. Inhale, bring the weight forwards, and exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale to your upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Take a few deep breaths here to connect with yourself, with your practice. Remember to spread those fingers. Hasta Bandha, your knuckles are pressing the mat. We have a slight space between our palms and the mat. This will help our wrists not to take the pressure. On your next inhale, look up between your hands and step, jump, or float to the top of the mat. Half lift on your inhale, forward fold on your exhale. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, vertebra by vertebra, all the way up to the sky. Asta Tadasana. And exhale, bow forwards, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, Urdhva Uttanasana. Exhale, plant the palms, step, jump, or float to your high plank. Inhale, bring your weight forwards. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale to your upward facing dog. Exhale to the downward facing dog. Inhale, look up between your hands, step, jump, or float to the front of the mat. Exhale, down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhaling all the way up to the sky, palms together, maybe a slight back bend. And exhale, bow forwards again. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Plant the hands, step, jump, or float to your high plank. Inhale, bring your weight forward. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale to your upward facing dog. And exhale to the downward facing dog. Take a few deep breaths here. Inhale, lift your right leg up. Exhale, cross it to the left side to your wild thing. Right arm towards the sky. Exhale, coming back to three-legged dog. Exhale, cross it in front of the left leg. and come into a fallen triangle. So left arm to the sky. Exhale, coming back to three-legged dog. An option here to do chaturanga with a three-legged dog or coming down to your downward facing dog. We're meeting in downward facing dog. Lifting the left leg up, crossing to the right side, opening to a wild thing. Exhale, coming back to three-legged dog, Ekapada Adho Mukha Svanasana. And exhale, cross it in front of the right leg, left arm towards mat, right arm towards the sky, falling triangle. Exhale, coming back to three-legged dog. And here, your option for three-legged chaturanga or downward facing dog. Inhale to your upward facing dog. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, look up between your hands, step, jump, or float to the front of the mat, down, fold forwards. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale all the way up to the sky. Exhale, Tadasana, mountain pose. And here I give it to someone else.
Guys, I'm sorry. I think I'm going to sit it out. I started bringing up my acai bowl. It was just the cat cow. So I couldn't do a downward dog. I'm so sorry.
That's all right, my love.
But I really enjoyed that, Renata.
That's okay.
So you don't feel like teaching then, Mel? Is that?
I don't think so. No, Mickey. I can't unless I talk it through, but I don't think I can physically do downward dog or even a tabletop.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, you're welcome to talk it through.
I think it was honestly just the big acai bowl I just ate.
Maybe Ava, do you want to go next and then see how you feel at the end?
I can talk us through the end. Yeah.
Talk us through a shavasana, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. I will try, but I haven't done for a long time. Okay. Let's start with downward facing dog. Can you guys all hear me? Okay, good. From our downward facing dog, we're gonna lift up our left leg up to the sky. And exhale, bring our left leg between our hands. We're gonna go to our low lunge today. So lower your right knee down onto the floor. Lift your hands up to the sky. Maybe gaze looking up to the sky or in front of you. From here we're going to bend our right knee. Your right hand grab to your right feet or to your ankles. Pulling your right feet towards your butt, towards you. We're going to stay 2 breaths from here. And exhale, bring it down to the floor. Bring your hands next to your left feet. Lift up your right leg. And we're gonna go back to our double facing dog. On your next inhale, plank pose, and exhale to our chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale to our downward facing dog. Stay here for a few breaths. On your next inhale, bring our right feet up to the sky. And bring your right feet between your hands. Lower your left knee down to the floor. Bring your hands to the sky. And your next inhale, bring your right hands to your left feet, grabbing it and bring it towards you. Push it towards you with your right hand. Gaze looking at the back of the room. And release. Hands next to your right feet. Bring your left knee up and go back to your downward facing dog. From our downward facing dog, lifting to your plank pose, inhale and exhale to your chaturanga. Inhale to your upward facing dog. And exhale to your downward facing dog. Stay here for 2 breaths. On your next inhale, bring our left feet up to the sky. And open up your left side of your feet to the sky. Bring it back and bring your left feet between your hands. High lunge. Your both of your hands to the sky. Lifting your right feet up. And your next inhale. And your next inhale, we're going to go bring our left ankle to your left feet. Bring our side. The side stretch. From here, we can bring our right arms to your back. And you can stay here for your half bind. If the full bind is in your practice, you can bring your left hands underneath your left thigh and interlace your finger at the back. Only if it's in your practice, otherwise just stay on the side. And release to your warrior 2. And your next inhale, bring your left feet to the side and go to your Y forward fold. You can leave your hands onto the ankle or onto the floor onto the mat in front of you. anything that feels good for you. You stay here for a few breaths. And your next inhale, your hands in front of you and halfway lift. And exhale, forward fold. And your next inhale, bend your left knee to the side. Leave your right leg long and hands in front of you. Stay low. And next exhale, move to the other side. So when you move, just try to keep your hip low to the floor. We're gonna move on your own time. 2 times on your own time. Inhale. And exhale. One more time. I'm going back to where you begin. And from here, we're going to turn to the front of your mat. Your hands next to your left feet to downward facing dog. We're going to make another flow from downward facing dog. So inhale to your plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale to your downward facing dog. Okay, we'll change the other side. So bring your right feet up to the sky. And open up your hips to the side. Coming back and bring your right foot up between your hands. And going back to a high lunge. Hands up to the sky, lifting up your left knee up. From here, we're gonna bring our left feet down to the side. So to bring your right hands to your right knee and side stretch. Remember to breathe. Your next inhale, you can bring your left hands to your lower back. Try our half bind. If full bind's in your practice, just bring your right hands underneath your right thigh and interlaced hands at the back. Again, it's me looking up, trying to be balanced. You can stay on your hands on your knees if you are needed. And release. Your warrior 2. And on your next inhale, bring our right feet to parallel with your left feet. By leg forward fold. Your hands can be on your ankles or to the mat in front of you. To do anything that suits you, feel better for you. We'll stay here for a few breaths. Feel the stretch at the back of your legs. Your next inhale, hands in front of you and halfway lift. And exhale, forward fold. On your next inhale, bend your right knee. Extend your left legs long to the sides. And inhale, move to the other side. Try to keep your hips as low as possible. 3 other breaths on your own time. Move your hips as low as possible with your breath. Okay, coming back to where you begin, and from here we're going back to lift up your left feet in front of your mat and lunge. And from here we'll go to our downward facing dog. Gonna flow from a downward facing dog again. So inhale, plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale to downward facing dog. Two breaths from here. On your next inhale, lift your left leg up. And exhale, bring your left knees and thighs to the floor. Go to our pigeon pose. Lift up your chest. Stay here for 2 breaths. You can bend your arms to the floor, folding forward if you need it. Otherwise, you can keep your hands high. Inhale and exhale. And next inhale, keep your hands high and bend your right knee. Your left hands to grab on your right feet towards you, your feet towards you. On your next inhale, trying to push your feet towards your hands. And exhale, release. And your next inhale, lifting up your left feet to the sky again. And bring your left feet down to the floor. Downward facing dog. Inhale to plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale to your downward facing dog. We'll change side. On your next inhale, lifting up your right feet to the sky. Exhale, right feet, bend your knees and just put the back of your hands and your left feet towards the mat. For pigeon pose this side. You can either folding forwards or lift your hands high. Anything that suits you. Stay here for a couple of breaths. Feel the stretch of your thigh, big upper thigh of your right leg. And next, inhale your hands high, lifting up your chest and bend your left knee. And your right hands to grab your feet and pulling towards you. Your next inhale, feel your feet pushing your hands. Exhale to release. Next inhale, lift into our downward facing dog. Inhale to plank, exhale to chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog, and exhale to your downward facing dog. Okay, I'm finished.
Thank you, Eva. Everyone take a child's pose. Taking a few breaths, having a rest here. When you're ready, take a seated pose. Both legs bent with your left leg behind you and your right leg in front. Place your left hand on your right knee and twist to the right. And breathing here, enjoying the stretch. Let's take 5 more breaths in your own time. Slowly, gently come out of that and switch your legs to the other side. So your right leg is bent behind you, your left leg is bent in front. Right hand on left knee and twist to the left. Breathing in and out. We'll take 5 more breaths in your own time. Coming out of that, sitting in Dandasana, staff pose, active legs, feet are flexed. Feeling the strength in the back of your legs, the strength and the stretch. Bend your left leg and take that over your right knee. You're going to twist towards the right. So twist towards that front foot. Still with the legs active. Maybe 3 more breaths. And switch legs. Bending your right knee over your left. And twisting towards that front leg, towards your left. And take 3 more breaths. Back to staff pose. We're going to make our way into a bridge. I might skip this one though, guys. But if you could make your way into a bridge pose. Slowly lifting the hips up. Your feet are nice and close to your glutes. When you're in this pose, you're not going to twist your head to the side at all. Just keeping that straight, pushing the hips and the belly button up. You can clasp your hands underneath you along the mat. Take a couple breaths here, in and out. And slowly, vertebra by vertebra, dropping the spine back down until you reach the mat. Let's take another bridge. Lifting the hips up, the feet are nice and close to the buttocks. Pushing the hips up to the sky. You can clasp your hands underneath you if you like. Pushing that belly up to the sky. On the exhale, slowly lowering down vertebra by vertebra. Let's take one more bridge. Inhale and exhale the hips up to the sky. Pushing the hips up, push the belly button up. You can clasp your hands underneath you. And slowly exhale all the way down. Give your knees a hug. Hug your knees close to your chest. Straighten out your right leg. Keep your left leg bent and drop your left leg over the right leg, arms to the side. And you can look over towards your left shoulder. Trying to keep both shoulders on the mat. Slowly coming back up and switch legs. So right leg crosses over your left. You twist the body to the left. You can look over towards your right shoulder. Aiming to keep both shoulders on the mat. Slowly roll onto your left, pushing yourself back up to staff pose. And take the legs wide to a side sort of split. Reaching for the right foot. If you can reach, you might reach your ankle or your foot, and taking the left arm all the way over. Keep those feet flexed, those legs active. You can look up towards your left elbow. This is just a gentle stretch. Inhale, lifting all the way up, and take it to the other side. So to your left, feet are flexed, keeping the chest open, looking towards your right elbow. Inhale all the way up, feet together. Inhale, arms up, and exhale, bending at the hips all the way to your toes, if you can make it there. Aiming to keep your legs straight, your feet flexed. You can drop the head over. If you can find some wall space, just going to lie on our backs with our feet up against the wall. If you've got no wall space, you can simply lift your legs up. We're going to stay here for a minute or two and enjoy that blood rushing out of our legs towards our heart. Got our feet up against the wall if you've got a wall space, or straight up in the air. While you're there, you could rotate your ankles or enjoy the stillness. Let's take your time now moving into Shavasana, into corpse pose. We'll lie down, grab anything you need to make yourself comfortable. A cushion, perhaps. And we'll make our way into corpse pose. Or you are so welcome to stay lying there with your feet up against the wall. Let's take this time to reflect on your progress. and whatever that might mean to you. Your progress in this yoga course, other areas of study, or perhaps progress in paying a little more attention to resting. So life is not a race, it's about the moments lived. So we'll reflect on your progress in the areas that are important to you. When you're ready, you can roll on to one side, taking your time, and we'll meet in a seated pose. Sukhasana. Hands on the knees. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, hands to heart center, keeping the eyes closed. Reminding yourself to give thanks to yourself for showing up. Having gratitude for each other. I'm so glad to see you today. Hands to the third eye. Namaste. Thank you, guys.
Namaste, welcome. Welcome, thank you. Thank you, all three of you. Well done. That was great. That was good fun. Just double checking. Oh, okay. Sorry, I just was seeing because Annie was supposed to come on today, but she's had a few things going on, so she wasn't sure. No, she's not at the moment. So yay, good work, team. I mean, you know, for just throwing it in the deep end without any practice, that was great. That was good. So maybe a quick little feedback. Let's not get too involved with the feedback today, I think, but a little feedback. Starting with you, Renata. How did you go? Don't forget to unmute yourselves.
Yeah, felt great.
Yeah, it was good. I loved it. I think it was all no negative feedback, that's for sure. Anyone else for Renata?
All good.
Thumbs up all round. Well, Renata's literally graduating tomorrow, I guess. So she's I was going to say already there, already made it, but it's not about making it really.
Barely just started.
Yeah, she's got her first notch on the journey. Many more to come. But yeah, well done, Renata. Very proud of you. You've really come such a long way over the last 5 months from when we first gathered, and seeing you become a teacher is wonderful. Really is, makes my heart sing. How did you go, Eva?
I think I lost my sequence at the beginning. It was the wrong side, but yeah, I wasn't prepared, but it was I think I messed up some cues stuff as well. So yeah, it was okay, you know.
It was absolutely fine for for what we did today. Like, I think you did a great job, and having had a little break too, we haven't practiced teaching each other for a few weeks, so I think that was great. Well done.
The only thing I would add is I find the whole camera thing like tricky in terms of space, and a lot of the time you had your back to us. We could still hear you just fine. I could still hear you, but it would be nice if I could see the front of you a little bit more than the back of you. But that's just all that little tricky camera stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
That's good. It's good feedback actually, because then it's also like when we're teaching on the mat in the studio, you've got to consider these things too. Often in our flow, we if we just follow the flow, we have our backs turned to our students. So sometimes we've just got to reverse it for ourselves to always be facing the students. I mean, if there's just one pose or something here or there that you turn your back, it's no big deal. But if you're doing like a whole side, let's say, of vinyasa sequences, postures, then it's always good to flip it for the students. So yeah, no, that was a good point.
Thank you.
And then when we're doing it online, it's got its own dimension, so could also consider that. So that was good feedback. Thanks, Mel. Actually, one thing I'd like to say, because I heard you say something, Eva, and it's an interesting. Just the thought process came up for me, because we often, I guess, the way we use our language, we often, we borrow from what we've seen with other teachers, which is good. That's what we should be doing. That's why I encourage you to go 3 classes a week, at least, and so you're not just for your own practice, but also for your own learning of keep accumulating language, cues, different things. But then sometimes we've just got to be careful with that language that we borrow, that we know exactly where we're putting it in the right context at all times. Now, what I'm referring to here, one particular phrase you used, and it's not actually that you put it out of context, but it was on the borderline maybe, and so just something to think about in things like that, which could come out of context potentially. So what you were saying when you brought us into the bind, you said if it's in your practice, go to the full bind, which that's a good little cue. That's a good little phrase that a lot of teachers will use. I use it quite a lot. But I guess it was borderline with that pose in the sense that it's okay, but it could also be. I mean, I personally might not use it in that pose. I would definitely use it if let's say we're doing something, like a wheel pose or something that's really can be difficult for some. Or, if you say, okay, we're going to do our inversions now, if it's in your practice, if you want to work with a headstand, go for it. So when you're kind of saying if it's in your practice, you're often Yeah, you're often referring to a tough pose or a challenging pose that needs maybe a bit of workshopping, and you're not prepared to give the workshopping right then and there. In a side angle, a bound side angle, yeah, it's borderline. It is obviously, so for a lot of people, it's inaccessible. So in that sense, it's good to use it then. Um, but but yeah, I would probably just not necessarily use that cue in that pose. I would say come to a half bind. If you feel you can go further, then let's go to the full bind. Mm. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of a
Yeah.
little bit borderline whether to use it in that instance.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a thought that came up, and really just being considerate of language that we borrow and making sure that we're using it appropriately. But you know, but actually, it's it's me saying good on you for having that language there to borrow.
Okay, yeah, I'll make a notes down. Thank you.
Mel, how did you go? Very twisty one from you, Mel.
I know I'm so twisty because I need it and love it. So I always do twists. I've been out of it for a few weeks and I felt it. So it's good to get back into it. Like my mind and body has been absent. So it's nice to get back and yeah, get back into my headspace of actually teaching. So
Good one. Yeah, no, great. I mean, that's like all things, all good things. It's just practice, isn't it? When we have a practice, we get a little bit rusty, but then it's like riding a bike as well. It comes back. So welcome back to teaching.
Good to be back.
Anybody else? Any feedback for Renata? For Mel at all?
No, it was clear that Mel has been out of it for a while because she's always so organized and everything is so planned and beautiful and everything. Obviously, it's just a little one when you said let's go to bridge, assuming that we all knew how to go to bridge.
Good one.
Maybe just giving a few cues.
Yeah.
Bending knees, bringing heels to the buttocks, or whatever it might come up for you. But obviously, you assume that we all knew what bridge was. So.
It was a good exercise actually, because not being able to do every move myself, it reminds you that that's a good reminder that I didn't give enough cues. Certainly if I'm not going to physically do it, you've got to be even more clear on the verbal cues. Yeah,
absolutely.
And I love the Viparita Karanya. I definitely needed that one after last night's shift. So thank you.
Which one was that? You got such good.
Legs on the wall.
Yeah. That's another fave.
Actually, one thing about bridge pose is I've noticed it does, a cue that you gave that can often be cued, which is when you said to bring your feet as close to your buttocks as possible. Now that's actually relative to your body shape, because it's true for many people and particularly for many women, but not true for everybody. Like my body, no, I've got quite long legs. I've got long legs. So if I bring my feet all the way to my buttocks, my knees are going to be kind of in that angle. So a better cue is to make sure you have your ankles below your knees.
That's a good one. Yeah.
That's kind of the foundation you want.
Okay, that's good.
Is the lower legs to be, perpendicular to the floor. So yeah.
It's a good one.
And it can be relative to who's in your class. Let's say you're in a
Mm.
class with I don't know, a bunch of, they're all ladies who
Mm.
don't have long limbs.
Mm.
Then you could give that cue potentially, but
Mm.
you got to be careful, and that's something that we need to really always consider. It's not always a one size.
Mm.
We look at that quite a lot in yin when we look at the individuality of anatomy. But
one cue that I really find great for bridge for me, that it worked for me, and I heard it from a couple of teachers as well, is to make sure that the back is flat on the floor before we lift up. So that basically makes you engage your core
Mm.
and stops us from coming up, like wiggling with our spine. So the spine is straight and you come up straight.
Mm. It's a good one. Mm.
Like I think some of them said like bring your awareness to your space between your back and the mat, and then try to make it as flat as possible, and then inhale and go up.
Mm.
It really works for me.
Yeah,
But
it's a good one. Mm.
okay, interesting. I haven't thought of that one, but it could work. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, let's have a little break. Shall we have lunch? And are you, Renata, do you have to leave early today?
no, I'm
No?
starting at 5:30, so that's fine.
Okay, good. I mean, hopefully we don't go for the full 5 hours, but it's today basically we're looking at the business of yoga. There's a personal development section as well in your book, so we kind of go through that, but we won't spend too much time on that because that's kind of something that you can just do in your own time as a kind of self-inquiry sort of exercise. But that'll be part of your homework. And then we also look at ethics and oaths. So it seems like a lot, but hopefully it doesn't really take all that long. So we'll see how we go. It's let's say it's 1:40, so we'll be back at 2:30. Is that all right for you guys? 2? You want to be back at 2 in 20 minutes?
I can do either. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Ava, are you okay in 20 minutes back? Or do you need a longer break?
I probably need a longer. I haven't eaten anything yet.
Mm. Mm.
Maybe quarter past 2, yeah?
Quarter past.
2? Great.
Thank you.
All right, see you all then.
See you next.
Bye.
The teacher that kind of encouraged me to start teacher training, she was teaching there, and I had a very good relationship with all my teachers there. I was the one staying after class and giving feedback and talking and stuff. And when all the COVID thing hit, one of them, that it's actually she happened to be the one that was coordinating all the classes and all the teachers throughout all the South Pacific Health Club in Melbourne. So there are 4 that I know of. 3 I'm already in. So that's good, just to cover ups at the moment, obviously. But she had a shoulder injury, and then because of the COVID thing, a lot of teachers didn't want to get vaccinated, including the one that encouraged me to teach. So there were a number of open positions, as in many other studios. And she was like, all along, every month, she was like, are you still cool to teach? Are you still happy to do it? Are you still, and so she was just basically waiting for me to finish it, to give me a couple of classes here and there, and I really appreciated her trust from the very beginning. She wasn't even there yesterday. I thought she was going to go and peek or something, but she just sent me a video. This is how you manage the music, and off you go. Obviously, she knew what my practice was because she was my teacher before. It's like, Yumiki, like, you know, me. So yeah, so when I kind of got to the final lap. I asked her if the offer was still on the table, and she said yes, absolutely. She asked me to have my insurance and my first aid and CPR ready to go, so I did that last week. And I sent her all the documents, like, look, I'm finishing on the 22nd, if everything goes all right. I won't have my certificate until February or whatever, when I have it physically, but here it's everything else, so you have it on your records. And then she immediately said, do you want to cover up this Thursday? And I go, you're aware that I haven't finished yet. She's like, yes, that's fine, it's just 1 week, it's okay. And so she set me up with the apps and everything, and off I went. Yeah, so yesterday was the first one. I have one tomorrow morning and one on Sunday morning as well.
Well done. Well done, Renata.
Yeah, thank you. It's I think it was very good to have that teacher hour in last two Saturdays ago, to first be teaching you guys and people that I feel confident around, and I was able to be myself and let it flow a little bit more because I knew I had your support. So that gave me a bit more strength. I did repeat sort of the same sequence because I felt confident with that, and I didn't want to be too much of a creative person on the first one. So I think that was a good decision, to just be strong with some positions, some cues, and then start building from there. It did work for me. And but it was challenging yesterday because most of them, there was only one person that I would say she was kind of an intermediate. Everyone else was super, super, super beginner. Like, even though they would say, yes, I did yoga before, it was nothing. It was really beginners. So some things I had to, on the spot, change my wording so they could really understand what I was saying. And that was good. I did modify some poses for them to be able to perform them, to feel confident in doing them. Standing balances, only one could do warrior 3, so I couldn't go further than that in standing balances and stuff, and it was a hatha, so it was longer, holding the poses, and it was quite an effort for them to go through it. But at the end, everyone was very happy. They said it was lovely and that they would come to my classes again, even though I explained that that was a cover. But yes, it felt great. It was really, really nice. And then the teacher, Marie, sent me a message saying, how does it feel to get paid to do something that you love? And I go, well, first time. After having spent a lot of years studying and working in different environments. So yeah, it's very exciting journey. It feels like it really just begun. So yeah, I'm happy about it.
Hey, that's such a beautiful story. Thank you. That's so good. Well done. Well done. How beautiful. So have they actually given you some permanent classes, or you're just covering, you're saying, for now?
At the moment, I'm just covering. Yeah. So there are a few Facebook pages for all the locations where people are just like, I need a cover for this week, I need a cover today, I need a cover, and whoever wants or whoever first in best dressed. So I'm like refreshing that page all the time, and I got already 3. So not wanting that anyone gets COVID or anything like that, but I'm full on looking at any opportunities.
Yeah. Well, look, this is pretty much what we're just going to talk about today. Is just that. You know, where do we go from here? What are the opportunities that we can have, and how do we go about finding them? So that's great that you've already dived into that even before you've officially graduated. Well done. And I'm actually I'm surprised a little bit that they're letting you teach without your certificate. I mean, in a case like this, you could have always asked us, if when you're in your kind of final week, any chance I can get my certificate a week early, we would generally be okay if it was a case like that. I remember when I did my teacher training, I had a similar story in a way. I was near the end. I was so ready to teach. I was just like you, I was just like, I can't wait to teach. That's all I want to do. And so I think I started going around looking for work before I finished, and maybe it was a contact. I can't remember how it happened now, but someone I connected with this gym, and we had an interview or something, and they really liked me, and they were like, yeah, great, we'll get you on board. And then it was like, would you like to start next week? And I was like, I haven't finished yet, but I didn't actually tell them. I felt like I said a little, I didn't tell them like how long I'd been a teacher for. I just said, I'm a teacher, but kind of like a little white, because sometimes it is hard when you just come out and you're fresh and you don't have experience. That often is what they want, is an experienced teacher. So I didn't lie, because I had been practicing and teaching for a little while, and even prior to that I taught unofficially with friends and things like that. But I still felt guilty about, well, I can't just go there and teach without actually having my certificate. So I said, I can't next week, I've got something on, and the week after, something I can definitely come in the week after that. And so I just stalled it for a couple of weeks, and then literally as soon as I had my ticket, it was like bang, I was in there.
Would have made you seem a bit more in high demand and exclusive. I can't do next week. I can't do the week, but I'll be
busy schedule, busy teaching schedule.
good strategy, yeah.
But yeah, so I'm surprised, but that's great. I mean, obviously they're in need, and but also I guess they know you and they trust you, so that's where it's coming from. You know the organizer there, so it's all good. And she told you to get your CPR and your first aid, so that's really important, I think. So that's something that we always bring up on this discussion, is just those little bits and pieces that we need to have as a teacher, and those are the only two main things, is your CPR, first aid CPR, and your insurance. So I'm interested, where did you go for those? Where did you go for your insurance, and where did you go for your CPR?
I went for the CPR and first aid, I went to Australia-wide first aid. It was 4 hours. So they sent me 100 and something pages to read and 165 questions to answer online. And then once you were competent in those, you were allowed in for the practice, and that was 4 hours. Did it in Frankston. It cost me about $100, 110. And then the insurance, I did it with Aon. I just asked my teacher, like, which one do you use and what's the limit that I need to be covered, and she, and at the moment there is a special 12 months, so you pay 12 but they give you 15 months, so that's good, for $170 a year, so 15 months for 170.
Correct. And was there a special amount that she said you need to be insured for?
No.
So did you choose the smallest amount, or what did you do?
I just chose, because I really didn't know, so I just chose the one she had, that was 1 million for professional indemnity and 20 million for product or service liability.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean that's just something we need to do. Yeah, those two things. We need to always be have those updated. So with your first aid and CPR, first aid is you only have to do that every 4 years, but your CPR you have to update regularly. 3 years Is it?
First aid free, CPR annually.
Ah, I thought first aid was for some reason. Maybe you're right.
It might have changed, but yeah.
So yeah, so your first aid, you get it. So you did your first aid. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, and then yeah, the CPR. CPR is kind of like half the first aid, half or
Yes.
even less than half of the time involved of doing your first aid. So yeah, I mean we can do those even on purely online these days. Since COVID, I did it last. I had to update my first aid last year, and it was in the middle of lockdown, so I found a place that did the whole thing online. So I managed to do that online. But I think it's good if you can go and do it in person, because it does help to really to get a bit more hands on with that.
It was good. It was good because there were like role plays, and we got to do all the bandages, and they would just give you a case and say we were in pairs. That was kind of at the end of it, so for the assessment kind of thing. So we were in pairs, and then one would go out and the other one would be told what problem they had. And I had a head injury and a shock. And then it's like you enter the room and then there is someone like that and she would just say, I have a cut in my head, and that was it. Then I had to do everything and then explain to the trainer what I did and blah blah. So it was kind of fun too. So yeah, and the CPR, to have actually pressure to something. It's the second time that I do CPR anyways, but it's good to have that feeling of where to put your hand, how it can feel like that resistance and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, good one. Mel and Ava, have you ever done first aid and CPR before?
Yes, several. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you would have done it for that as a dance teacher, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably in the last 20 years, I've probably done at least half a dozen.
Yeah.
The last one was 2019, so I'm expired on the probably both actually now.
Mm. Oh well, there's something.
Yeah.
Look forward to doing that again.
Yeah.
And Ava, you'll get to do it for your first time.
Yeah. Well,
Whenever
never done
you.
it.
Yeah. It's a good thing just to have anyway.
Oh, it is. It is. It's a useful thing to.
Yeah.
And you really, I forget. I mean, I always forget
Yeah.
how many counts is it and how many breaths.
Yeah.
You really have to do the update, I think, every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it does over the years. I've seen sometimes it changes a little bit.
Slight changes. Yeah.
Science changes.
Yeah.
So it's good to have that updated. Yeah. So with the insurance, I mean, it's you have to have insurance. There's no doubt about it. It's just like most studios or gyms won't have you on unless you're insured. But the amount there, look, I used to think, oh shit, we have to go for a big amount, because you've got the option to choose, the liability amount. Over the years, I've sort of gone down, down, because it's actually cheaper. The higher the amount, the more you pay. Because to be honest, I've never ever met anyone who's had to use their insurance, who's had to claim on their insurance. It's just, I think, there's a couple of things. I mean, obviously, injuries happen, for sure. People get injured. That's not unusual. But, for starters, most people in Australia, I don't think, would sue you as a teacher. In America, it might be a different thing.
Usually when you sign on to any gym or any type of membership, the client has already signed a waiver before they even start a class.
Taking responsibility.
Yeah.
So that's really a choice that you have to make. But yeah, I'm not going to tell you to go to which box to tick there. That'll be your choice when you get to it. But personally, I don't really feel you need to go for the biggest amount.
I think I chose the smallest one though.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, look at those things. Look at the difference. What is the difference? And try them out. And then I don't know about the insurance that you use. I use a place called Insurance House. Yeah, that's one I've used for years, and I mean, you can't say insurance is good or bad. Insurance are all in the business of not paying insurance.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
So I don't like to really necessarily talk any of that. Well, I've never had to make a claim anyway. So you don't. All you do is you just pay your insurance, and that's it. I don't know anyone who's had to deal with insurance. It's not like car insurance or stuff like that. So, but yeah, with that particular one with Insurance House, I don't know about the one that you chose there, Renata, but with my one, they've got different modalities that you can tick as well. A lot of holistic modalities. So, if anyone does practice something else, then you can incorporate it all into the one insurance. So, for example, if you were a masseuse, massage was your thing. And it's good. I go through them and think, well, which ones of these am I qualified to teach? I think there's breath work maybe, so I tick that, and meditation, so I tick that, and you cover all your angles. But of course, you don't tick something that you're not qualified somehow to teach. Like I don't tick Tai Chi, I don't tick Pilates, but yeah, tick those other things. And also, for example, I studied Thai massage and Zen Shiatsu, so I tick those, and then I'm comfortable also incorporate. Sometimes I'll incorporate a bit of Thai massage into the yoga, into a workshop or something. It does happen, and then again.
I'll remind you of that on the retreat.
Okay.
You coming again, Renata?
We'll form a queue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, good.
So yeah, so those, so the official things. You get your teaching certificate, and that lasts forever. So that's great. You don't have to refresh or renew your teaching certificate. However, what we do, what is recommended is that you do consider CPD. So CPD means continual professional development, and this is within any professional industry. Any industry that you're in, a professional industry, is you're usually required to do a certain amount of CPD hours per year to be able to keep up your practice. So now, if you wanted to join one of the yoga associations, which is recommended, but it's not compulsory, and we have two associations here in Australia that we work with, Yoga Alliance and Yoga Australia, and to be a member of those associations, they actually require you to do your CPD, your continual professional development. So I
don't understand why the 50 hours yin said like it was admitted to be put as a continual development. Now I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, that's so if you're going to join the yin in March, you've done.
But it was in Feb. I got a permanent opportunity for yin on Mondays, and I thought, I'll get back to you in Feb. And now,
sorry about that.
that's all right.
Yeah,
Just delay them.
delay them a little longer. But yeah, basically, you come and do the yin, and that's plenty. That covers CPD for the years. I can't remember what it is now, what the associations require, but maybe it could be, I don't know, I'd be pulling the number out of my head really. But
Mickey,
maybe,
would you recommend Yoga Alliance or Yoga Australia?
okay, I'm now a member of Yoga Alliance, and for many years though I was a member of Yoga Australia. Now I need to be a member of Yoga Alliance as a teacher trainer because our teacher training course is accredited with Yoga Alliance. It's a Yoga Alliance accredited course. Um, so that's why I'm a member of Yoga Alliance, and I'm not taking out two memberships because it all costs money, and
Mm.
I don't need to. I found personally that Yoga Australia were more community focused. So I found that being a member of Yoga Australia at the start of my career was actually useful because you'd get weekly, or I can't remember if they're weekly or fortnightly emails, and they'd have workshops, or they'd have, different activities, opportunities, meetups to meet other yogis, all this kind of thing, which I thought was really useful. I mean, you'd get sometimes even some free workshops for members, which immediately count as CPD. So, in a way, Yoga Australia is a bit more specific about being focused on what's happening here in Australia, and as such, a bit more community focused within the Australian circle. Yoga Alliance is the international body, and you've got Yoga Alliance Australia. But I've never received anything, any communication from them. The only communication I get from them is my invoice, which always
Yeah. Hey.
comes about a month or 2 months late, and saying, why haven't you paid your invoice? We're going to cancel your membership. And I'm like,
Getting
well,
you
it would be
panicked.
nice to receive it
The
on
panic
time.
strategy.
So, I mean, there's me harking on about that, but that's my personal experience. Maybe there is stuff that Yoga Alliance do and I just haven't somehow tuned in. But yeah, I think Yoga Australia are much better in as far as when you're starting out,
Mm.
because of that, because of the community focus. Yoga Australia also are a bit more rigorous, a bit more strict as far as their membership requirements. So, for example, they to be a level 1 member, you actually have to do more than 200 hours. I think it's 350 hours is to become a level. They've got level 1, level 2, level 3, and they've got a provisionary membership. So for guys doing their 200 hours, you get your provisional membership, and then once you get your full 350, so if you do yin, then you've already got 250. And then if you do something else, you build up your hours to get your level 1, and then ultimately your level 2 and level 3 if you want. So I went through all those levels to level 3, but yeah, I'm not a member of them at the moment, just because I thought, well, I need to be a member of Yoga Alliance. But yeah, it's not compulsory. You don't have to be a member of either of these, and this is they're kind of like unions in a way, These are unions. You don't have to be a member of your union in a particular, but it's the people looking out for you in a way. So it's you do receive the news, the information. You keep updated with regulations and what's happening in the world. So
Does it add a bit more credibility, you think, if you're approaching yoga studios or gyms, you can say, well, I am a member of Yoga
Absolutely.
Australia, and they know that you're a bit vetted to some degree?
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't hurt. So maybe look into it, see what it entails. Look into them both and see. Maybe I've missed something with the Yoga Alliance, and maybe I'm just not getting all the right emails or what. But yeah, that's my experience with those two.
You could always switch anyway, couldn't you, Mickey? Like if we joined one, we could always switch when that expires. Or
Yeah, you could join the two if you wanted to. You're really keen beaver. No reason why you couldn't do both. But all these things, they cost a bit of money, and then you got to balance up. Well,
update
how
them.
much am I actually earning as a yoga teacher to be able to, it's $170 for the insurance, it's $100 for the CPR, and then it's you know, $120 for the Yoga Alliance membership, whatever it is. I can't
Mm.
remember the prices, but you know, we're starting to look at, I don't know, what's that,
A dozen classes.
$400 or $500 just to get started, and that's, you know,
Mm.
yeah, that's almost a dozen classes.
Mm.
So yeah, the business of yoga is a challenging one. To become a yoga teacher and make that your living is definitely not easy. It takes a bit of work. It takes a bit of dedication, and it's unlikely that you'll ever be a rich rich yogi. But you know, what's your intention with life? You've got to
Exactly.
balance all that out. You know, what are we? What's our purpose? You know, are we here
Mm.
to make lots of money? Then maybe we shouldn't be a yoga teacher.
Mm.
Are we here to live a fulfilling life?
Mm.
Yeah, then a yoga teacher is a good choice.
Mm.
But not to say that you can't make a living out of being a yoga. I mean, I'm an example of that. I've made a living out of yoga teaching for the past at least 10 years. You know, a few little bits and pieces on the side with a bit of DJing or whatever, but
Mm.
predominantly my main income is as a yoga teacher. But you know, let's think about that. So how many classes can you teach a week? And you know, initially, of course, like you're finding out, Renata, it takes a while to build up your class schedule. Um, and a good way to start is just like you've done there, is to go in and become a cover. So you can be a cover for particular studios. So that's a good way to approach studios and gyms, to say, I'm keen to teach. If you don't have anything available right now, would love to be on your covers list. And yeah, and that's often a great foot in the door when you start to cover. And look, some people, that's all they do. I've known teachers who they just like thrive on being the covers teacher, and actually can do quite well if they're really, like you say, Renard, on the ball. You always got your thing on, just yep, I'm available. There's Cover Me Yoga Australia, I think. There's a Facebook group, or Yoga Melbourne. I'm not sure. Cover Me Yoga. But check that out. You know, sign up for that little Facebook group. A lot of people post stuff there, and you know, connect with your teachers. Like, you know, I'm not a good connection right at this moment because I'm not teaching many regular classes for all various reasons. But otherwise, you know, I have from time to time got my TTs to cover my classes, or even managed to get some of my TTs some regular classes when you know the opportunities have arisen. So yeah, and then yeah, you just got to go around. Yeah, it's hard at first. It's hard because a lot of places, you know, it's almost like getting your foot in the door is, there's almost an expectation that they want you to have experience as well. Some studios and some ads you'll see, minimum 2 years experience. It's almost like, you know, your 2 years is the, but yeah, exactly. How can you get the experience if they don't give you a chance?
Mickey, do we have that opportunity to do the Siva class at Brunswick? Like put our hand up for that at any time? Or?
Absolutely. So that's another opportunity. But as you can imagine, you know, with however many, I mean, there's only a few of you here on the Friday group, but you know, there's also Amy's Friday group. There's another dozen on the Saturday group. So there's not obviously opportunities for everyone. And you know, I guess most people don't bother asking, but that's what it comes down to. Is being keen and connecting, and for that you need to connect with Amy. That's not my department. But you know, you just if that was something you wanted to do, and I would just suggest to ask Amy, of course, first of all, you know, just say, hey, I'm keen for any saber classes, and then ultimately or regularly prompt her, once every couple of weeks, hey, just reminding you, still keen. Because I think it'll be a mixture of, her noticing, okay, who's really keen,
Mm.
and then also when an opportunity arises, I guess, it's like, oh, yeah, we need to create a new class in this space, or someone's leaving, we need to put someone in there. So, look, that's another thing. So, how do we get the experience and things like saver classes, doing community work, and sometimes, even working for free to start with is okay till a certain point, though. You don't want to push that that I'm a new student and I'm happy to work for free forever type thing. I would say, for the first few months, let's say 6 months or so, that you're open to doing some free classes for experience. But then, look, I can't actually speak for what happens at summer healing. I should maybe ask Amy, but I never have. I'm not sure at what point she starts actually paying her saver students. I don't know. So I feel like it's reasonable to do it for 6 months or so, and then after 6 months, I remember when I was teaching it, when I finished my teacher training, I got a gig at my studio, the Gita studio, and I was teaching for free, and I did it for a while. I did it for probably over a year, and then I think it's about time I started getting paid, and they just had a policy that they didn't pay their teachers at all. They just everyone was expected to do service. So I didn't particularly agree with that. So then, because I was getting lots of other gigs, and so that was impeding on my other potential gigs, so I just moved on. But yeah, every studio has its own policy on that, its own theory. So I can't tell you exactly how things will be with everyone. But don't necessarily, you don't undervalue yourself too. You are worthy of being paid. You graduated, but yeah, a bit of to and fro is fine. You go and look for gigs, and if that's what is offered, you say, oh well, we might have a saver position or something similar. Then yeah, it's good to be flexible, because then that'll get your foot in the door, and and give you that experience too. So you build up a CV as well. Of course, it's good to have a resume. So that's another thing. When you apply for a yoga job, they'll often say, send us your resume. And if your resume's got nothing on it, it's a bit trickier, isn't it? So you got to maybe embellish your resume somehow. But that's why it is really good to maybe get out there as much as you can at the start and do some community events, or festivals, things like that, where sometimes it's easier to get a gig in the sense, but you're just expected to do it for free for the community or whatever.
So how do you know if what you're doing, any workshops and stuff, count for the continual development?
It's actually a self-monitored thing. So I know definitely on Yoga Australia they'll have if you go on their website, they'll have a section on that, and they'll give you a rundown of, okay, well, how many. They'll give you a rundown of first of all, is it like I can't remember how it's written, but is it a tier 1 or tier 2 or tier 3 kind of activity? As in, tier 1 would be yoga workshop, really specifically something that's related to yoga. A tier 2 would be something like maybe, I don't know, something
Breath work or something.
Yeah, maybe something that's not quite fully 100% the yoga, but yeah, and then so that kind of so depending on what tier it is, each hour is worth a certain amount of points each hour. So if you go to a 12-hour workshop, which is on a 12-hour workshop on back bends, let's say, that would be worth 12 points, I would say. Something like that. So even you coming to my retreat, you can put that down as CPD, and you kind of you don't obviously calculate the whole time you're at the retreat, but you think, you break it down. Okay, well, we did probably 7 hours a day of asana and meditation and all the rest, pranayama, whatever you calculate it, and put it down, and that's CPD. Mm. So yeah.
And is it like you might need 20 points a year or something?
12.
I have
Oh,
a feeling 12, is it?
Mm.
Ah,
Oh,
okay.
that's good.
Where did you see that?
On the Yoga Australia thing.
Okay, great.
And is for the provisional one. So for us, we need to get to 350 points within 3 years.
Right. Just to keep you really sort of current.
So if we start with 200, we have 3 years to get to level 1. Otherwise, you're not provisional anymore. Like
3 years from when you qualify?
from when you start your provisional membership.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Great. So you're looking at that now, are you? Or
No, I read it.
you already had a look?
So,
Yeah, you're right. 12 CPDs. Continuing professional is 12 CPDs. Membership. Yeah.
and hours teaching count for that, or that's different?
No, your regular teaching doesn't count. What does count though is when you're doing something. If you run a workshop, or if you run a retreat, if you're doing something out of the ordinary, just teaching classes, where you've actually obviously had to put a bit of time into it, then that counts. And so you can calculate. I mean, it used to anyway. I don't know if things have changed. I used to put down my retreats as a certain amount of CPDs. I think it's more the time that it takes you to develop the program rather than the
Right.
program itself, something like that. Yeah. There's a whole section there on the website. I'm just sort of browsing through it now. Actually, I'll share the screen, can't we? Yeah, see, 1 point for 1 hour of training core to yoga teaching. And then something related to yoga teaching, 1 point for 2 hours of training. Non-contact. Oh, interesting. Okay,
That's good.
Go to other teachers' classes. That's so if you do
Only accounts up to 25%. Yeah.
up to 25% of your claim. If you're being mentored, 1 point for 2 hours. 25% of your claim. Good.
We'll go through that.
Yeah, and then let's have a quick look while we're here at what the membership is then. Membership information. And one thing is, I think also becoming a member of Yoga Australia gave you some insurance options. Like you go through their insurer from memory, or they give you a possibility
They
of
have packages, I think, or something like that.
well packaged insurance options
Yeah.
for yoga teaching. Yeah, there's also that quarterly Yoga Today magazine that you get as a PDF these days. Yeah, so your level 1 is 350 hours, full membership level 2 is 500 hours and 5 years teaching. and full membership senior teacher 1,000 hours and 10 years. Look at the cost here. Don't know, it doesn't say how much it costs, does it? There you go. So $132 as a teacher.
What's the associate if you're not teaching?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just interested in
Yeah.
being a member.
Yeah. That's good to know.
Yeah. So you could be an associate now if you wanted to.
I could do that now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many. I mean, as I said, you know, lots of events and workshops. I mean, this was all pre-COVID, so I don't know what's that, you know, if they're doing much of that now.
Well, they got some links there we can look into.
So it could be interesting to have a read through all that.
Yeah. It's good because they've done all the work for you. So in terms of all that research of what you can and can't do, and
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Now, what I would like to also look at is rules and principles. Statement of ethics. So this is also part of our lecture in actual fact, is to, and this is something I'd like you to do. So your homework is, for this lecture, is to fill out the personal development section in the manual. Is to do that as part of your kind of self-inquiry project. But then also to create your own ethics and oaths for you as a yoga teacher. So so what we can do is have a bit of a look at what these guys have written as their suggested way, you know, the ethics and oaths that you abide by being a Yoga Australia teacher, by being a member. And then we'll have even a look at Yoga Alliance to see if that's any different. But yeah, I think they're the same. Basically, yeah, they look at what are these? These 10 points here. Can we recognise these? What do we call them?
The yamas and niyamas.
The yamas and the niyamas, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, in actual fact, they're the usual ethics and guidelines for professional conduct in our industry, are the yamas and niyamas. So this statement of ethics guides yoga teachers in their work of supporting students' yoga practice based on the traditional yogic ethical principles, the yamas and niyamas as outlined in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. So this statement of ethics reflects the timeless living principles that our essential nature is awake, aware, compassionate and peaceful. Yoga is a system of self-investigation, self-transformation and self-realization. Its practices and lifestyle aim to integrate the body, mind, heart and spirit and awaken students to their innate wholeness. The role of ourselves as yoga teachers is to guide and support students in their practice of yoga. Yoga teachers aim to nurture the physical, emotional, psychological, social and spiritual well-being of students. And then we look at those yamas and niyamas. And the first one there is ahimsa, non-violence and compassion. As yoga teachers, we seek to do no harm to others and to act with care and compassion. Can you tell me an example of that as a yoga teacher? How could that work as being a yoga teacher in a classroom situation?
I would think not teaching beyond your capacity, your knowledge and your skill set.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you could put someone in harm's way if you're teaching beyond what your skill set is, you think?
Yeah, and be also recognizing the students' skill sets.
Yeah.
Kind of like Ava was implying, if it's in your practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the obvious ones, of course, we're not going to be physically harming our students anyway. But I mean, actually, you could potentially, if you're into the adjustments
Yes.
way of doing things, some teachers, there are stories of teachers harming their students by pushing them too hard in an adjustment. So yeah, very much making sure that
We can also harm psychologically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me an example. How could that, an example of how that might play out?
As in mistreating someone during the class or making them feel bad about themselves or anything with
Belittling or embarrassing or something.
Yeah. Good one. Yeah. Then satya is our truthfulness. So as yoga teachers, we act truthfully at all times. So similar thing, really, isn't it? We don't. We speak our truth. We speak the truth as best we know it. And even there, being really mindful of how our words can hurt people as well. I know there was a situation at Summer Healing where some of the teachers were being really vocal about the whole COVID situation and when towards the start of the pandemic, and everyone's got their own opinions and they got into trouble because they were being too vocal and obviously upsetting students. So you got to sometimes just be mindful that even though you're maybe speaking your truth, is what is the truth that's relevant in the situation? How can your truth potentially cause harm to others? So yeah, it's a tricky one to navigate sometimes, but doing our best to be truthful to ourselves and to others at all times. Ashteya, not stealing. As yoga teachers, we only take what is rightfully ours. So obviously, we don't steal people's things, but I don't know. Can you think of a less obvious way of how that could play out?
Would it be like claiming, you've invented something
Yeah.
or something like that, or it was your concept when it's been existing for a long time before you, or
Yeah, that's a good one.
Or maybe sabotaging another teacher just to get their hours or something like that.
Yeah. Good one.
Even when counting your points, just to not say you did something that you haven't done.
Yeah. Good one. Yeah. Being both truthful and not not taking more than you need or more than what's rightfully ours. Yeah. Brahmacharya, self-restraint in the path to wholeness. We recognize that the teacher-student relationship exists to serve the deepest goals of yoga. Thus we practice self-restraint and direct our energy and actions towards these deep aims of yoga. What do you think that they're talking about there? What does that sound like to you?
Not getting involved with our students, as in a not inappropriate, but outside of the yoga goal. What?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean you can't be friends with like if doesn't mean you guys can't come and see me DJ or I go and see you do something that you do or whatever. It doesn't mean there's no connection there, but yeah, just honouring the relationship with a teacher and a student. I mean, brahmacharya is often about the sexual. It's about containing or not necessarily refraining, but being mindful, I guess, of sexual energy. And so traditionally, the brahmachari is someone who abstains from any sexual practice to fully contain that sexual energy. But then, through the diversification of yoga, through tantra yoga and various hatha yoga practices, there's also the recognition that the sexual energy is just an energy that can be worked with, I guess, but just in a mindful way. So it doesn't mean that as yogis we have to be monks and we can't have a partner. We can't, it doesn't mean we can't be sexually active. But obviously when we do that with full respect to ourselves, to our partners, and to every others around us. So just being mindful of that sexual energy and those relationships. Aparigraha, non-clinging. As yoga teachers, we practice the principle of non-attachment and generosity, and we welcome change, acknowledging the natural abundance of life. Which is quite beautiful. A beautiful place to be. Give me an example of how that could play out as a yoga teacher.
That probably happened a lot now with COVID, and yoga teachers decided not to get vaccinated and being attached to their classes or their students or their hours, and then all of a sudden needing to renounce that in order to sustain the principles and decisions.
Yeah, great example. yeah, and just generally, you know, if you're working at a studio and the studio owner, for whatever reason, decides that needs to shift your class to another day, then you just, you know, you take it with grace. We gotta really trust the universe, trust in the flow, that everything, that, you know, whichever way it plays out is just meant to be, really. Because, you know, even, you know, we're trying to, as yoga teachers, trying to be on that path of, on that spiritual path, that we're letting go, essentially, of our attachments to all things material. And, you know, even that teaching schedule and those classes and the money that you get paid and all of that, that's all just part of that, the play of Maya, the play of duality. So, you know, it's tricky because
You still need to live.
you still gotta live, yeah, exactly, you still gotta live in the world, in this world, but we do it with the best awareness, I guess, that it's, you know, that it's all impermanent. All of what we do, you know, is in the material world is impermanent. So accepting the impermanence, and being able to do our best to be in non-attachment energy is good. And so those first 5 are
Yamas.
the yamas, and then the next 5 are the niyamas. So sauka, or sometimes said sausa, purity, cleanliness. As yoga teachers, we cultivate purity of body, mind, and environment. This includes fostering clarity of intention, ongoing self-care, and a clean environment for yoga practice.
Yes.
Yeah. So how could that be reflected in your, as a teacher coming to a classroom?
Well presented, clean.
Clean studio, freshly showered.
And, you know, and if the studio's not that, if you know that the studio's not always going to be super clean, or, you know, give yourself time to get there early and tidy things up. It's always advisable to get to your class in plenty of time, so that you've got time to set things up, to set the energy. You know, your class is your sacred ceremony. So, you know, how do you want that to feel for others? I think you should want it to be as sacred as can be. And so setting the environment is also important, the way in which we set up our space. What space do we want for others to be flowing in? Even things like, you know, the way we set it up, on that physical level. Like, you know, do we want to tweak the lighting? You know, get it really nice lighting, not too bright, not too soft, just the right amount. Do we want any extra little tidbits like candles, and do we smudge the room with some Palo Santo? Do we, you know, choose the right kind of ambience with the music? All of that, you know, that all, I think, is part of that to some degree. Is part of setting your space. And then, actually, I'll just have a little diversion, because I don't think Mel and Renata, you weren't there last Saturday, were you?
No.
No, you both weren't there. So I had a little just a little discussion about music in classes, because it was interesting. You know, we had as a teaching lecture, we had 2 classes, and one class was in silence and one was with music, and you know, and that's I guess, you know, a subject that I'm pretty passionate about, being a DJ into my music. So I think it's something that's really important to address music in a class. You know, traditionally there was never any music. Traditionally, I mean, maybe in India, in some practices, they might have had a sitar player or a, you know, tabla player playing along, but unusual, really. Generally, there's no music. So really, the whole music thing is a Western thing, to have music in your class. And you know, I don't think it's absolutely necessary. I think it can be quite nice to not have music too, because ultimately music is just, or can be, another distraction in a way. And what are we there to do? To try to be less distracted. But it's also can be a nice accompaniment and a nice encouragement and a nice motivator, I guess, for your practice. Your music can be. But I think then in that situation, then it is really important to choose to be careful about your selection of music. Not just oh yeah, we're doing a yoga class, just put on this whatever my latest Spotify, you know, weekly chart is, or whatever, you know. No, you know, think about, if you're going to be playing music for a class, I think it's really important to consider the music and how it's going to be played out in each section of your class. So, for example, you know, you don't want anything too intense to start with, and you probably don't want anything too intense to end with. You know, both start and beginning should usually be something fairly ambient, soft, heart-opening, whatever, but nothing too kind of upbeat or dynamic. And then it depends on the class you're teaching. If you know you're going to be going into a fairly, you know, if you're doing a vinyasa class and you know the middle of the class you're going to be doing some really strong poses, then why not have some more dynamic music at that point? And not that it has to be, you could keep a soft tone throughout. But if you're going to have some dynamic stuff, some kind of maybe some funky stuff, some beats or whatever, then make sure that's kind of planned for that funkier, upbeat part of your class. And the other thing to consider is, generally I would say, to steer away from too many vocals in tracks, because it just brings another element of distraction. If there's you know, people singing, you know, we love a good song, we love some good vocals, but you know, your music is just the background for your practice, or the energy to motivate, to guide us in some ways, to assist us in the practice. So, you know, the only exception is maybe some mantra, when it's kind of mantra music, so it's kind of repetitive sort of vocals, then that generally can tie in with the energy of the yoga practice. But, you know, putting on a Michael Jackson song or something like that in the middle of the class, probably not. Unless, of course, that's your particular intention and you have a special, you know, special moment where you want people to really, you know, loosen up and have a bit of fun, and maybe even have a boogie in the middle of the class. That's fine. You know, I've been to a class where I've got Michael Jackson on the floor and everyone's having a bit of fun with it, and that's great. But, you know, you've got to be really careful as to when you bring in those kind of out of context moments.
That's what I was thinking of doing, Mickey. But I'm just trying to get my head around yeah, like, do I just do one of those songs right sort of at the peak when we're repeating a sequence we already know?
Mm.
And then, yeah, I'm just getting my head around it because I did a class once where every song was a pop song. It was intentionally a funny class, and it was such a great hour. But I know that not everyone's after that all the time or every week or something.
Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with that as a special one-off, or you know, or if that is your speciality, for sure. You know,
Yeah, I was
there's such
thinking
a
like
thing
just
as
one song. Yeah.
yeah, such a thing as like hip hop yoga is a thing, you know,
Mm.
and you know,
Disco yoga and
they
yeah,
play gangster music or whatever.
yeah.
And there's, you know,
If that's your niche.
if that's your niche, if that's your vibe, then go for it.
Mm. Mm.
But I'm just talking in the general sense, you know, if you're to
Yeah,
general yoga studio or general fitness center,
yeah.
then there's a certain, I guess, expectation of
Expectation.
what people come for and the kind of
Mm.
music they might have.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I mean, you know, because I've got my DJ background, I actually create my soundtracks as DJ mixes, so they're
Mm.
all blended into each other.
Mm.
Sometimes even
Nice flow.
beat match to each other, so there is that nice flow. And you're
Mm.
welcome to steal any of mine if you like. I put them up on my Mixcloud and my SoundCloud, so they're there to use. I mean, Cardia just uses my mixes when she.
Mm. How do we find them, Mickey? I'd love to listen to them.
I'll send you the link.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Send you
you.
the link.
Mickey, you'll know about, and can you talk about like legalities of playing copyrighted music, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's another issue as well.
Mm.
Look, it seems that look, I'm not 100% sure up with it. It seems to be this thing that comes and goes,
Mm.
where you know there's these moments of like,
It's a
oh,
big
we're
hoo-ha
not allowed
thing.
to play anything that's you know that's known or
Yeah.
be an issue. Or we have to play.
Or you have to buy specific cover versions of something or other.
Yeah, or you know like what is it? Royalty free music only.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I've kind of always ignored that. I only
Mm.
ignored it in the sense that I feel like personally I've got my um, you know I create my DJ mixes, so
Mm.
in a sense I am recreating things anyway.
Mm.
Um,
You're
but
probably using a small percentage of the original part of that song by the time
yeah,
you're mixing and stuff.
kind of. I mean,
Mm.
a big percentage really, but still, um, I am adjusting it somehow.
Yeah,
Or reshaping it,
yeah.
repurposing it somehow. But you know, I think with that sort of stuff, there, yeah, you steer away from mainstream music, which you know,
Mm.
obviously, generally we do anyway.
Mm.
We don't really play as yoga teachers in yoga classes much mainstream music,
Mm.
but
I
yeah.
know when I taught dance, like theoretically, it was a big hot topic, and
Mm.
in reality, everyone just played whatever they wanted.
Yeah, well, I think that's the way it goes. You know, it just comes. You know, when APRA or whatever it is, they have a bit of
Mm.
a hoo ha about it, and then suddenly, you know, oh, we're not allowed to play other people's music or whatever. We can only play royalty free music. Um,
And then 6 months later, everyone moves on,
yeah,
and
even just a month later.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Don't worry about it too much unless you're called up on it or unless you're specifically told by the studio about that.
Mhm.
Um, there are royalty free music that you can definitely play. I know there are some artists out there who do stuff who allow you to play it and release it of your own accord, or play it without any issues. But yeah, look, I think mostly again, it's one of those things, I've never heard of anyone actually
Being
getting
sued.
in trouble for that I know of. I mean, look, what it comes down to for me really is considering, okay, if you're you know, because APRA's whole thing is, well, you got to pay the artists. So you got to pay your membership to APRA and all this, and they pay the artists. But I don't know how much they really pay their artists. I have my doubts that many artists really get paid by APRA. And I've got a lot of friends who are producers, and they've never got a cent from APRA. So I really, when we, and that's coming back to our yamas and niyamas, for me, I think being more truthful and less harmful, non-violent and respectful to the artists themselves. So actually, if you are playing tracks of artists that you really enjoy, is to not just purely, in Spotify, in theory, also they get a little snippet of something, but hardly anything. I would personally like to support. I like to support the artists that I play by actually purchasing their music, and I do that on Bandcamp. Bandcamp is a website where the music is usually quite cheap. Sometimes you've got
Sometimes you nominate what you pay.
how much you want to pay, and but of all the sites that artists put their music on, I think it's the one that pays.
They actually get paid.
Actually get paid the most. So it doesn't mean. I mean, look, I'm a DJ, and I'm constantly downloading music and listening to music. If I paid full price for all the music I'd I'd be living on the street. But I do. I'm constantly. If it's okay, I've got that guy on Spotify. I've been listening to his stuff for weeks and months. Okay, I'm going to buy one of his tracks now, or one of his albums. But that's my personal approach. But I think it's a good thing to consider. If these artists and their music is assisting us, in our in us actually then even making on that monetary level, we're making money by teaching classes and having their music playing, then why not give a little bit back? I think it's a good thing to consider. So yeah, a little bit of a roundabout on where were we? That was part of Salka. And then we get to Santosha, which is contentment and happiness. As yoga teachers, we practice an active acceptance of the present, thus developing deep happiness. Which kind of brings us back to that non-attachment in some way. If we're non-attached and we're okay with where we are, content with this moment. Content and accept whatever happens. If we come into a class that we're covering and the teacher says there's always 20 people coming to the class, we walk in, there's only 3 people, not to get upset. That's just what it is. So be okay with it. Make the most of that situation, in whichever way it arises, whichever way it presents. I think it's another really important element of the spiritual path, is that contentment. Contentment is such an important quality to develop on our spiritual journey, just to be okay in every moment, whatever arises, whichever challenges or obstacles. Again, it is as it is. In each moment, we can't change it. We can change just our attitude. So I think that's a big one, Santosha. And then tapas, svadhyaya, and ishvara pranidhana. Together, these 3. Does anyone know what these 3 together form the basis of?
I remember we did cover it, but I've forgotten.
Yeah. We definitely covered it at some point. I think in the 8 limbs, maybe.
Yeah.
So it forms the basis of Kriya Yoga.
Yeah.
So they're the kind of, the elements of Kriya Yoga. So we have tapas, which is the discipline. And as yoga teachers, we're dedicated to a disciplined and committed yogi lifestyle. So that's the energy, the drive. That's the, in some ways, even the meaning of hatha is sometimes expressed as the effort, the yoga of effort, and that's the discipline, and that it's important also as yoga teachers. We're dedicated to a disciplined and committed yogic lifestyle, meaning that we're not just coming to teach blasé. We're coming to teach what we practice, and it means that we've got the discipline to keep coming to our mat each and every day, whether the focus of our practice is asana, pranayama, or meditation, or whatever, but we're committed to the practice, whatever the relationship of that practice plays out for us. So yeah, as a teacher, again, it's sort of coming back even to satya and whatnot. We're there to teach who we, teach what we know, what we do, what we practice. We have to always put that mirror up to ourselves as we come to the class, not to pretend that I practice yoga 8 hours a day, I'm always doing yoga, whereas, we don't, maybe just go to class once a week. First of all, consider that maybe, if our discipline isn't there yet, then that's something that we should consider cultivating. And if it is, then, just reflecting that which we do cultivate. And then self-studies, vajjaya, is kind of a reflection of that we're, as yoga teachers, we are committed to ongoing self-reflection and continued learning. So even, from that pure idea of being an ongoing yoga teacher, your CPD points, that you're committed to keep learning, keep practicing, keep expanding your knowledge. But, it might just be even studying, just reading and studying, listening to lectures, listening to podcasts, listening to other great teachers. Always, keep up the inspiration. It doesn't finish here at the 200-hour. As soon as we finish our course, the learning, the self-inquiry is a forever thing. If if you're called to keep on this path of yoga, then that's part of the journey. If you decide that after 200 hours, I'm going to be whatever else, I'm going to become a politician now, then all well and good. But yeah, this is the Kriya Yoga. This is the yoga in action. It's that discipline, the self-study, and then Ishvara Pranidhana, this relationship with wholeness. Our aim as a yoga teacher is to serve the deepest goals of yoga. We honour and encourage an ongoing relationship with innate wholeness and oneness with all life. And that's kind of a nicely westernized version of this yama, which is good, because a lot of people don't have the same sort of approach as say they do traditionally in India. So yeah, we can see these three also as tapas, as almost like as hatha yoga or raja yoga, svajaya as jnana yoga. Jnana yoga is the yoga of knowledge, and Ishvara Pranidhana as bhakti yoga, is the yoga of devotion. So this is just that relationship with the wholeness, or with our inner self, with with God, with Brahman, with Shiva, with consciousness, whichever way you like to look at it. But and and also with Mother Nature, and understanding or acknowledging as in each moment the incredible gift of this life, of this birth, and of all the magnificence of nature out there. So that's kind of like that tantric perspective, whereas the non-dual relationship is more the Advaita Vedanta perspective. But it's all Ishvara Pranidhana. It's all this kind of idea of bhakti yoga, with acknowledging and revering the mystery, you could say. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. So let's have a look quickly at, won't go through them all, but just see if Yoga Alliance is written in any different sort of way.
Just click there on the red thing that says code of contact under purpose. A lot more corporate, hey?
Mm,
Yeah, wow, okay,
a lot.
quite a bit in there, isn't there? Maybe just have a quick look at the headings.
Mm,
So, one, adhere to applicable law. Okay, so that makes sense. Obviously, that's why we have our insurance and whatnot.
mm,
Two,
mm.
follow the Yoga Alliance scope of practice. Okay, could be an interesting one to have a look at. Follow the Yoga Alliance anti-harassment policy.
Mm.
So we must not harass others. And it's interesting. I've seen quite a bit of harassment of recent times, like on social media,
Mm.
with the whole COVID and vax and anti-vax kind of.
That's interesting. I jumped ahead. I looked at number 6, and it talks about
Actively.
members are expected to go beyond basic legal prohibitions against discrimination.
Mm,
That's interesting, isn't it?
yeah.
On that topic.
Yeah, good one. Yeah, that's interesting. Thank you.
Mm.
You follow the Yoga Alliance sexual misconduct policy. So obviously not intentionally cause sexual harm, physical, verbal, or otherwise. Do not harm. And even Code Principle 5, while under the influence of alcohol or drugs.
Mm. Fair enough.
Which is fair enough, yes, except for those drugs that are being prescribed for medical purposes.
Mhm.
um, yeah. And that's the active and include all individuals that you, yeah, good one. Okay, so here we're in the US though, but
Mm,
it shouldn't really matter, but
mm,
we are looking at the US thing. Respect student-teacher relationships, so consent-based touch, romantic and or sexual relationships, work status, consent to record. It's an interesting one. Yeah, this is yeah, in a class, if you're taking photos or whatever, you should always get the student's consent. I've seen a lot of that play out as people taking photos of their students in Shavasana and then putting it on Instagram.
oh,
Because, you know, the students weren't aware at the time,
oh,
and that being a contentious issue.
you got to at least ask, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it is important. I mean, you know, when I do, for example, a retreat, you know, I do mention that I might take some snaps here and there and put them up on my social media. But you know, you're there for a whole weekend. But when people are just coming in for a one-off class, I think it's really important to get that consent if you want to take some imagery in any way, particularly if you're then going to use it in your social media.
Mm,
Maintain honesty in communications. Yeah. Yeah, so there you go. What if there was a specific one for Yoga Alliance Australia? No, that's Yoga Australia, which we just went to, isn't it? So yeah, look, basically, what I'd like you to do is to, as I suggested, this is different now, Yoga Alliance International Registry. Yeah, see this one, it's
a bit more
again
yogi.
yamas and niyamas, so the same as
Mm,
yeah, the same as Yoga Australia. Mm. Mm. Yeah, but basically, if you can write up your own ethics and oaths that you feel is important for you. What are the important points? And look, essentially, you can just write the yamas and the yamas, but if you have anything to add or subtract, feel free to do that. You know, what's important in your heart, and maybe have a look at that other one of Yoga Alliance that we looked at there, because there were some other issues there which I think were relevant, quite relevant to today. But back to, you know, where to from here, and you know what's how to go about the next step. I mean, like, you know, do you have any questions? Where to from here? How to go about getting gigs and all the rest?
With the 300 hours and the 500 hours compared to this one, is it just more depth in all of the subjects that we saw, or is there something different that one learns through the 500 and the 300?
I would say generally just in more depth. Yeah, I don't think really there's anything that we've fully missed, but you know, a lot of the stuff that we've covered is, you know, we've only touched the surface. So yeah, definitely more depth. Often, sometimes it's like, it's almost like, and this I think is the way Amy's trying to form her more in-depth 500-hour course or whatever that at some point might be doing. But is divide them up into modules, which will be a bit like, you know, like you'll be doing maybe the yin module as a 50-hour module, and so we could go also deeper into pranayama, for example, a much deeper module in pranayama, and I mean all the subjects obviously you can go a lot deeper in. So yeah, just
For example, is it worth doing the 300 or the 500 hours, or for example the whole immersion of pranayama with you during that month, and then maybe some workshops on inversions or standing balances or something like that? It's would be more, how can I say it, nourishing than doing the whole 300 hours or 500 hours, repeating some of the stuff.
I think you just have to look at what's offered and see what calls you really. Yeah, I can't tell you until you. It depends on what you want to get out of it, I guess. There's nothing wrong with, you know, doing, you know, a lot of committed yogis they'll do a couple of 200-hour courses, 2 or 3 even, you know, to get a different taste and a different, you know, you get different elements. For example, doing this one that you've been doing is a slightly, let's say, more Western one, because we're in the West, teaching in a Western way, although probably, you know, less Western in a way than some courses, might be even more Western inclined. You know, some courses might have very little of the yoga philosophy. And then if you went to India and then you did one in a real traditional Indian way, it would be quite different again. And then, you know, within the Indian way itself, you've got the northern way, the Rishikesh, where Cardia went and did her teacher training, which is all sort of focused on those, you know, on these Bihar school books, you know, all these ones here, which particularly the asana is quite different to, say, the southern style of India, which is more focused on Krishnamacharya's lineage, so Iyengar and Ashtanga. So in the north it's more Shivananda, Satyananda, those styles, you know, quite different. I'm saying, like, you know, you could do 200 hours there and 200 hours there, and you'd learn a lot of different stuff, because they've got quite different approaches, quite different sort of focuses. So yeah, but I mean, it's all relevant.
Or relative, yeah.
Relative, up to where you want to go with things. I mean, definitely you want to keep studying, keep learning. It never stops. I can't imagine myself ever stopping to want to learn. You know, I'm constantly reading a book or listening to lectures with Eric at the moment. He's my teacher right now, and I've done a lot of work with Clive, and you know, you find a teacher that resonates, and you work with him for some time or forever, or but yeah, initially it is good to clock up all those hours, so you know, on the CV it looks like you've done all the right things. But you know, again, it's relative. You know, Clive, my teacher Clive, he never did a teacher training course at all. He's got no teacher training qualifications, yet he's the teacher of the teachers. And you know, he's the real thing, the real McCoy, the real yogi. So you know, it's the westernization of, oh, yep, we're going to have all the points in place and all the boxes ticked. You know, that's all just the Western world we live in. And but you know, but we're living in that world, so we, you know, make sure we do tick or you know, tick enough of those boxes that we're called to, or that we're required to. But don't get too hung up on all the boxes either. You know, do follow your heart is really the most important thing. Do what calls you. But yeah, when you start off, I think initially getting that experience is really key. The first 2 years is probably the most challenging time in a way as a yoga teacher. It's hard to actually make a living in those first 2 years. You got to, you know, I didn't do that. I wasn't making a living out of teaching yoga the first couple of years. You've got to have some part-time, something else to pay the bills usually. And I'm saying usually, I mean, nothing's certain. Someone could come out and suddenly, bang, they're teaching hundreds of classes. There's the whole social media thing now, of course. Then that's another whole nother ball game, which can help you to, if you're called to go down that path, to gain a big following and then teach through that following. You know, if you turn up to a studio and say, I've got 10,000 followers on my Instagram, my yogi Instagram, you know, they'd probably think, oh yeah, okay, must be something worth, someone worth employing if they've got that following. You know, I personally, I struggle with social media, as in I do the bare minimum that I feel I should, just to keep my foot in there. But you know, when people start saying, "Oh, you should be posting once every 2 days," or whatever, I just can't be bothered.
Mm.
It's just another distraction, I think, personally. But,
Yeah.
but you know, and you know, and another thing that you have to be careful about, that it really sort of becomes a real egoic thing as well. You know, it's a real boost of the ego there, and you know, it becomes a bit of a trap in some ways. But yeah, at the same time, nothing wrong with a little bit of promotion and getting yourself. You got to get yourself out there. So you know, if that's the way, and then you know, considering online as well. Online is the new thing, the new norm. There's definitely opportunities to do really well online. You know, build again. You know, you probably need to work hard at building your following, and you know, I really can't be bothered too much. I mean, I've got my YouTube, and I've got you know, it was more a lockdown project when we were stuck at home. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm in the same boat in some ways. You know, I'm sometimes think about, okay, what if I decide to move somewhere else, move to the north, to the tropics or something, or you know, move back to Thailand or to Bali, then you know, it probably would be useful if I could actually have a decent online following and could actually do a lot of my work online. So yeah, again, you know, got to consider what your intention is. Yeah, not sure what more I can say.
Eva, do you plan on teaching?
I was gonna ask a question about that, but I wasn't planning for teaching at the moment, but I was gonna ask if in the future, if I want to happen to open our own studio, is there any other specific requirement, do you know? You guys know?
Well, you would have to have a different type of insurance. I think you'd have to have the insurance for the studio. So I haven't looked into that, but
Mm.
yeah, you'd have to have that, whatever that is. Although it might not be. I think it'd actually be more like your like building insurance and that kind of thing. Because
yeah.
anyways, as a studio owner, you still require
Yeah.
your teachers to have their own individual insurance. So it's not necessarily a type of insurance to cover the practice there, but just you know, like a shop would have or anything like that. So there's that to consider. You know, there's the whole management system of how do you manage your bookings. For example, you guys are familiar with Mind Body, I assume, that we've used at Summer Healing and many studios. Mind Body is probably the most popular system, but it's not cheap. I can't remember what the price is. So if the studio is not particularly big, it's probably not very cost effective to use Mind Body. So there are some other systems out there, but I can't tell you what they are off the top of my head. It's the only one that I've been using in the last little while. Thinking of Virgin, they've got their own system that they've devised there. But yeah, some kind of booking system to manage the classes, manage payment, manage all of that. You know, the Mind Body, it is good in the sense that it, you know, it even manages paying your teachers and it does kind of everything for you. But it's not cheap.
In terms of qualifications or certificate, as long as you get this 200 hours, you are able to, like, you qualified to open your own studio, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
I
there's
guess
nothing.
you don't need any qualifications if you just want to open your own studio. Just
Yeah.
if you want to be an instructor within your studio, that's different. But to
That's
open
yeah. Lots of industries are like that.
in a shop, a retail shop, it's no
Open
different.
a dance school
Yeah.
or even a skin clinic. My daughter did work experience at a skin clinic. The owner has no qualifications in skin, but she hires people who has.
About it either.
Yeah, she hires dermatologists, but she's got business background or something. I suppose, Eva, something that we've talked about is you would need to keep an eye on things like keeping those CPDs within a time frame and stuff like that. You need to be quite on top of it all, wouldn't you?
For your
Well,
teaching.
I even thought about the own studio myself, and maybe in some time it might come true, but you also need to think about maybe the first years are not going to be as profitable while you work on your database and your
The
class.
first 2 or 3 years might cost, you might run it.
So it's always good to have kind of a plan B. So using that space for something different, maybe renting it out or having different sort of modalities going on, not necessarily a gym, but something that will cover for the losses of opening a yoga studio for the first years, unless you're a super influencer and you'll have
Good idea.
5,000 people enrolled and regularly going or whatever. But I don't think it's one of the easiest businesses to start.
No.
Rent, because of the management system, because of the pain of the teachers. It's
not the holy grail, is it? I mean, in some ways you're better off doing what Mickey's done, and as you're a known successful teacher, but you don't have your own studio.
Yeah, I've often been asked many times, why don't you open your own studio? Why don't you have your own space? And I've worked with so many studios, I can see how much
more trouble
headache it is to run a studio. And I thought, well, if I want to be a yogi and just live my yogi lifestyle
and bliss, that's not very blissful.
The only time I might consider it is if I ever move to somewhere. Let's say I moved up north where there isn't
Mm,
a studio, and,
yeah,
and it's like, oh well, you know, they need yoga here, better open the
yeah,
studio, you know.
yeah,
But you know,
yeah,
in the city like Melbourne, God, it'd be the last thing I'd ever want to do is open a
yeah.
yoga, especially now with COVID and all that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
closed. Yeah, I've seen a lot of studios try and fail. Um,
Mm,
I'm not trying to put you off. If you have a good opportunity, a good idea, and it's, you know, sometimes it's really it's definitely about that. It's about having a good, you know, being really creative with the way you're going to do it. You know, something, if you've got a really unique idea of how the studio is going to be different to the others. I mean, if you are competing with others, you need to really be mindful and considerate of that. If you end up in a place, like I said, where there isn't any yoga, it's a different thing. You've got a captive market, you're the only one there, so wonderful. I think.
Yeah, my plan was to actually just the area yoga, but or just a small, like a small studio, or be at the beginning, which would just be myself and by appointment only, just small group or private class, you know, not a big
mm.
public class to just start with, just to, because it's just a small studio. Because I actually only planning to do area yoga at the moment, so not planning for mat yoga yet. So that was my plan. So
Have you spoken with Amy about that? Because in Brunswick,
Brunswick.
yeah, they started now with aerial yoga, and I don't know where I saw that they were actually looking for teachers for aerial yoga. I'm not saying you should teach now, but if that's something new and you're thinking of building up that, maybe
Let Amy know that you.
and start going to the classes they have, and I don't know if that's something that really interests you. Just as
yeah, I have been going to the classes for a long time, more than a year. I go every day.
the summer healing Brunswick.
No summer healing, other studio.
Mm.
There is some other studios they actually specify in area yoga hammock. So actually going every single day almost. Yeah.
Mm. Would be a good idea though to talk to Amy, because you've got that connection with Amy now, because you've got a connection with summer healing by
Mm,
doing this course. It could be a foot in the door.
yeah.
Mm.
Maybe.
We're all business coaches.
That's good ideas, good thoughts. Yeah. And, but yeah, when you, I mean, I think the most important thing is, like, if you decide you want to set up your own business, as in, and look, I mean, one thing I did early on in the piece was I didn't have my own studio, but I did run my own classes, and that's definitely something worth doing at the start. So when I lived in Brunswick, this was before Summer Healing was even there. I lived in Brunswick, and there wasn't any other studios in Brunswick, or not much, I don't think, around then. And so I rented a space at the Shiatsu College, and I just rented their space Tuesday and Thursday nights, and I just rented by the hour, so I think it was something like $30 an hour. So I just rent it for like an hour and a half Tuesday night, an hour and a half Thursday night, or sometimes I think I had 2 classes in a row. So I'd do 2 or 3 classes there a week, and I just serviced my local community. So I advertised by going around and doing a letterbox drop, you know, made some flyers, and I did all right for quite some time. I did quite well doing just my own classes. You know, I'd have to pay my $30 or whatever it was, $60 a week for my rent, and then whatever on top of that was my profit. I had
Nice
to bring,
cost effective
yeah, I had to
immediate startup.
buy a bunch of mats or whatever. That's all I had to invest,
Mm.
and I just left the mats at the studio. And you know, that's the good thing about yoga. It's not a big investment as far as your equipment. I mean, if you want to have a really proper studio with all your blocks and everything, I didn't bother. The Shiatsu College actually had bolsters already. They had these smaller bolsters, but so I think I might have just bought a few blocks myself, and then I bought 15 mats or something online for you know, pretty cheap. And so I just left my mats there, and mats the bolsters, the blanket, they had blankets there. So I already had all the stuff there, and I would just rent that. And I did that for quite a few years, and then the reason I moved out of there was after some time when Brunswick got busier and a few studios started opening up, and they were starting to take away some of my business, I found. And then because studios, you know, they always offer you intro pass for $50 less back then.
You couldn't compete
I was
necessarily.
fine, yeah, because I still had to charge. You know, I'd have my different pricing. It was $15 or $20 a class drop in, or you could buy a pass from me. I sold my pass with eight classes for $12 each or something like that. So, you know, that's all I had to do. I had to print out my passes, print out my flyers. I had my business cards, and I had to buy some mats, and that was my investment. That was purely my investment, and you know, but my target area was just my local people. So just through the local letterbox, I put up some posters in the local cafes and whatnot, and it's a lovely way to actually start to build up your own confidence teaching. And I ended up stopping to do that because then I got offered gigs at studios, and I was weighing it up. You know, it was like $60 a class at the studio. You know, sometimes I'd make $100 or $120. You know, if I got enough people in my own class, it was, you know, it was actually financially it could be good. But then sometimes 2 people turned up and it wouldn't even cover my rent. And I'd be there going, you know, like, you know, really hard to get that, you know, contentment happening because I'd be going, shit, I'm doing this class and I'm paying to be here. It's costing me to actually be here. So it was frustrating sometimes, and you just have to kind of let go of that and be in your yogi yamas and niyamas. And then at one point, I think when it got to a point where it was like, you know, it's touch and go. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. And then when I started working for Virgin actually, and it was just like, you go there. If there's 50 students, or if there's 1 student, you get paid the same. I'm like, actually, I don't mind a little bit of regularity in my life. So I ended up going with that. And dropping those ones, but yeah, it was a beautiful experience, and it is a nice way to do it, you know, without having to necessarily, like, that's something I think if you're thinking of what you're thinking, Ava, is rather than, you know, fully invest in your own studio. I mean, if you're prepared to do it and you think you can, then that's fine. But maybe you just hire a space a couple of times a week or whatever to build up your clientele. You know, because I guess if I was packing out those classes day in, day out, then maybe I would have moved on to something like that. Okay, let's hire a space full time. But because of the competition that started building in the area, you know, I couldn't maintain that for years. You know, I did it for a few years, maybe, I don't know, 4 years or something. 4 years I did those classes, something like that. And it was nice because it's also nice, you know, you do build a bit of a community, and you know, you've built that yourself, so it's kind of nice. Like I remember sometimes for like the winter solstice or the summer solstice, I would actually say to all my students, hey, we'll do a little celebration after, everyone brings some food, and we'll have some dinner together. So, you know, it was really nice to do stuff like that. And yeah, I've got fond memories actually of those times at the Shiatsu College, because it was, yeah, that beautiful community spirit, which you don't get as much. I mean, you know, studios, you do get that to some degree, but you know, people just come and they go. Definitely at fitness centres, whereas there it was a bit more like, you know, you'd hang out and you'd you know, you'd eat together and whatnot, celebrate life together. So yeah, but look, I'm always here. I mean, you guys are still here for a while, a couple of you, but Renata, you know, any time you want any advice, any you know.
Oh, you won't get rid of me that easily, don't worry about it.
Good to hear. Yeah, always happy to. You know, I don't always give good advice, but at least I can give some advice.
You can speak from experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
For sure. All right, well, let's leave it there then, gang.
Thank you.
Unless
I'll miss you,
anyone's got any
Renata.
other questions.
You won't get rid of me that easily either. So don't miss me before you need to.
So you're done now. You're not coming tomorrow.
Yeah, coming tomorrow.
Are you coming tomorrow? Okay.
Cool. Well, I'll see you two tomorrow, and Ava, I'll see you when I see you.
Yeah, hopefully.
I'll see you around at Ariel, Eva.
Oh, yes.
I'll look out for you.
We'll help you set up there. You just let us know. We'll help you set up the studio and you know, things and
Okay. Hopefully.
dance here and there.
I'll teach disco yoga. You teach Ariel.
Okay.
Renata will do everything else.
Good one. And look, I mean that is definitely something that it's nice. It's a good way to get to get gigs if you are specialised in something. If you do have a little passion for something, such as aerial yoga or disco yoga, you know, don't make fun of that. Like, I mean, I did for many years. I did Hatha Groove or Shakti Groove as a little workshop. I did at studios or at festivals, and you know, it was a way to, you know, I had a live DJ while we're doing our practice. And break out into a bit of a dance and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
A bit of a freestyle in the middle or something.
Yeah, so you know, people love that.
Yeah.
You're all so active. I'm more of the nidra, pranayama, the meditation,
Yeah.
the hatha, the yin.
Well, you know, go with that. You know.
I haven't seen lots of options for yoga nidra actually.
No.
I don't think.
Yeah, Cardia's been discovering that too, and she's actually working on developing a yoga nidra training.
Oh, okay.
Because
That'd be good.
she sees there's a market for that.
I think so too. Yes. Won't we chit chat in the retreat?
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. I'm so excited for that.
Are you, Mel, coming both days or 3 days?
Yeah, 2 nights, just Friday night, Saturday night. Yeah.
Okay. So how many more of us are coming? It's Keva there, Mel, but Mel, so Mel, are you doing the sequence or no? No.
Probably not. I don't think I'll be ready to graduate just because I just feel like I have missed 8 lectures. If I'd missed 3 or 4 maybe, but yeah, so maybe I'll graduate at the next retreat.
And have Sam and Ruben confirm if they're coming on the Friday at least?
They haven't confirmed whether they're coming.
Oh, okay.
Sam and Ruben. Let's have a look. Kevin's coming. You're coming. Mel, Natalie's coming.
Natty's graduating as well, yes?
Yeah,
Yeah, so 3 of us.
that's all I've got actually. Is from your group. Am I missing anyone?
Will you, I know you can't see into the future, but will you plan another one for the end of the 10-monthers?
That'll be my plan.
Yeah.
I'll aim to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I reckon I'll be ready to graduate then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's definitely my plan. I need to actually probably get on to booking that.
That'd be nice actually, wouldn't it? A winter one.
Yeah, it's nice. So it's got its flavour every time of the year.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
season, it's got its own flavour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, I'll see you tomorrow, guys. And I'll see you next, Eva.
Hey.
All the best, Eva.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Ciao.
See you tomorrow, Mickey, Renata.
See you then.
Thank you.
Bye.